Kids Voting Mesa County proudly presents the 2014 House District 54 and 55 candidate interviews.
I'm Gage Whalen, Senior Student Body President at Central High School.
And I'm Kayleen Borrego, Junior at Central High School and also the SBA Treasurer.
And we will be conducting the interviews, so let's get started. All right, so this is Yulin Willett, and he's running for House District 54. So, Mr. Willett, why don't you begin by telling myself and the other District 51 students a little bit about yourself and what, as students, we might need to know about you.
Sure, thank you. It is Yulin Willett. My granddad was Yulin Van Sickles Willett the First, and I got his name, and I was teased all through school about that. So I know a little bit about being the brunt of jokes. A little bit of bullying when I grew up, but my dad and his dad were from Oklahoma, and they were proud of that name. We like to joke in my campaign now, we've turned it into a benefit. So Yulin, just remember, no fooling, I'm voting for Yulin. And then on Willett, I got a giggle. On Willett, on the ballot, fill it with Willett. So there you go. Now you can remember the name. My dad was an FBI agent and became a lawyer in New York City, and I was born there. And he didn't want to raise me in the big city, so he moved to Delta, Colorado, all the way from the Big Apple. My mom was a New Jersey debutante kind of gal, so that was a real shock to her. She ended up being Delta's municipal judge, and she was on the board of Club 20, and really a lady before her time. She really pushed some boundaries. So I grew up with a conservative, hardworking family in politics. I'm a Republican. And one time when I was a little boy, my parents were kind of arguing with some friends, and I got all upset and I was crying, and they came over, and my mom came over and said, "It's okay, honey, it's okay." She said, "We're Republicans and they're Democrats, but we're right." So that was kind of an inside family joke. I went to Delta High School, played a lot of sports, was captain on all the football teams, was second in my class at Delta High School, went on to college where I was at the top of my class at CU in the business school. Then I was at the top of my class at CU Law School. Came back just like my parents. When my wife Rose and I had started having children, we decided to come back to the Western Slope and raise those children. And we've been here for almost, 28, 29 years now. I've done a practice in law of defending businesses and individuals against lawsuits. So I kind of support business and fight against lawsuits. But I got out of that about a year ago and looked to give back to the community somehow, which I think is important. We all have some civic responsibilities, and I'm at a stage in my life where all four of my kids, our kids, Rose and I have been married 31 years, they're now successfully launched, off doing good things, making good grades, or working. And so I have the perfect time in my life to devote to this. I don't need a job, I don't need a career. I'm looking forward to serving the Delta County where I grew up and Mesa County where I've worked for so long in the State House, District 54. By the way, District 54 is all of Mesa County except for kind of the populated area of the city, which is like a donut with a donut hole. And then 54 also includes about half of Delta County. So that's what I'm running for.
All right, students, this is JJ Fletcher. He is running for House District 54. So let's get started with the interview, JJ. Why don't you tell myself and the other District 51 students just some general information about yourself to get us familiar so we can start beginning to make our decisions on who we're going to vote for on our ballots.
Sure. Well, I grew up here in Palisade. My family's been here in Palisade area since the 1880s. They homesteaded in the Cannon Creek area. They were cattle ranchers. They homesteaded in the area. I graduated from Palisade High School. I have a passion for Western Colorado and the fact that I love the great outdoors and the opportunities that we have here in our valley, the pristine weather that we're enjoying today and that we seem to always enjoy, the four seasons. I guess that's all I have as far as general information goes.
Thank you. All right, students, this is Brad Webb. He's running for House District 54. So Brad, why don't you help us, myself and the District 51 students, get a little more familiar with yourself with some general background information so we can start thinking through the decisions we're going to make on our ballots.
Sure. That's great. Well, thanks for having me. Thank you all the students for putting this on and doing this. This is great. My background is I'm a farmer and a business owner in Palisade. So I own a vineyard and a winery. So that's the business I do since I've lived here. I've been in the Valley about 6 years. Prior to that, I was a manager for JP Morgan Chase Bank in Denver. And I grew up in the very deep southern part of Illinois in coal country. So my skill set matches up well in this area of the state because we have, instead of pulling coal out of the ground, we pull natural gas and oil, and we grow crops on the surface. So two things that are very, very important to me. So.
All right, so this is Kyle Davis. He's also running for House District 54. So Kyle, why don't you tell myself and the District 51 students a little bit of what we might need to know about you as students when we're making our votes.
Well, I'm a District 51 alumni. I moved here from California when I was 10 years old, and I went to East Middle School and then to Grand Junction High School for a little bit. Then I took some time off for some various family problems. Ended up going to R5 and then deciding that the public school system just wasn't for me. And so I ended up dropping out and getting my GED in 2003. In 2004, I joined the military and I went to the Army. And in 2005, 2006, I went to Iraq. And just last year, I graduated from Colorado Mesa University with a bachelor's in mass communication. So I'm 28 years old, but I've been through quite a bit. And I'm not your typical politician by any stretch of the imagination. Not only am I so young and have no business acumen, or I have acumen, but I don't have any business experience. I feel like politicians are the problem. And so as someone who feels that way, and someone who's obviously not a politician, I decided to step into the ring and try my best to bring topics to the forefront that just aren't being talked about, trying to bring philosophy into the equation, because no one in politics talks about philosophy anymore, and that's really the founding of our country was based on men who studied and thought very highly of philosophy. So I'm trying to bring that back. I've grown a lot. I've made a lot of mistakes. Had I known that I was going to be running for office, I probably wouldn't have done some of the things that I did as a teenager and in my 20-somethings. But I think that makes me more real, and I've been very upfront and honest about all these things. I'm not trying to hide who I am. With me, you pretty much know what you're going to get.
All right, students, this is Chris Kennedy. He's running for House District 55. So Chris, as we start the interview, why don't you tell myself and the students of Mesa County a little bit of background information about yourself, just so we can get familiar, so we can start making our decisions for our ballots.
Sure. Well, my name is Chris Kennedy. I've been in the Grand Valley since 2006. Served 8 years in the United States Marine Corps, excuse me, before getting married when we were in California at the time, and have traveled to many places around the country in that span. I'm an IT and telecom professional. I've been doing IT telecom for almost 25 years. Currently own my own company called Kennedy Telecommunications here in Grand Junction, and we do small office, home office, networking and IT support. And in addition, I also manage a group of technicians that do gas and oil field backbone communications throughout the United States.
All right, students, so this is Dan Thurlow. He's running for House District 55. So let's get started with the interview. What can you tell myself and the other District 51 students about yourself that we might need to know when we are making our informed decisions when we vote?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me here today. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you. Again, my name is Dan Thurlow. I'm the Republican candidate for House of Representatives in District 55, which is basically the city of Grand Junction. The background I have that I think makes me pretty qualified, I've been a resident of Grand Junction all my life. I actually went to Lincoln Park Elementary School which I believe is now the Independence Academy. And I spent 1 year at Tope, and I spent 1 year at Pomona, and then I went to Grand Junction Junior High and graduated from Grand Junction High School. So I'm a product of this area. I think I understand the issues in Grand Junction pretty well, and I think I have a good background in education and understanding the educational issues in Grand Junction. I spent the next 40 years of my life in business here. Colorado Printing Company is the name of our business. We do commercial printing for a wide area across the Intermountain West. Actually, we have sales guys in Denver, down to Albuquerque, New Mexico, and Salt Lake City, and out to Reno, Nevada. So we cover a pretty broad area. We do commercial printing and packaging solutions for other businesses. I think that's given me a good background in understanding the issues of the state, understanding business regulation, understanding water issues and highways and things like that. So I think I'm well prepared. As you know, what it takes to do a job is, number one, to prepare yourself physically, mentally, and understand the issues, and then you have to have a plan to go off and do the job. And I think I'm ready to do that.
That will conclude our interviews. We would like to thank each candidate in Mesa County Library for making this possible. Please take into account all candidate responses to make wise and informed decisions.